I've got 8 questions. You pick 3 random numbers, and whatever questions you get, that's where we start.
Fun.
First number up, what you got?
7. I love that number.
If you could learn a new skill or about a different profession through a role, what would you pick and why?
Detective work, for sure. I was thinking sometimes before bed, I do these really random, like, Wikipedia deep dives on certain things that I'm just like, I should use this in a productive manner. And I think it'd be really cool to find out how to be a detective.
You have 2 more numbers. What is your second number?
3.
What is something that you did for a role that now makes you think, I'm really glad I tried that, but never again?
Oh my gosh, one time I was in this like acting class and I was like pretty new. I think I was like 20, and I got a scene partner for this scene that was just really method, and he was really good but really method. And for our rehearsal, I think the scene took place outside of a liquor store. He was like, let's go to an actual liquor store and work on the scene. And I was like, okay. And I just remember it just being a problem and being like, why didn't we just rehearse this inside of like a room? And I thought, I just kind of went along with it and had an extremely weird time for 3 hours. And I thought, I want to have more agency and make sure that I have a say and I'm fully comfortable in the way that I rehearse and in the way that I do my job. And so at that point, I learned my lesson and I was like, uncomfortable for what? Like, but that might just be a thing because now I'm just like in my 30s and I like want to be uncomfortable less. And I feel like now I want to like just kind of take a nap and relax and not feel bad in my day-to-day. So I just do less shit that I don't want to do, you know?
That is a good never again right there. All right, you have 1 more number left.
1.
Would you rather have to fake wake up in a scene or fake drive in a scene?
Sometimes with fake waking up, there is that moment before of sleeping. And I think the key to acting like you're sleeping is just sort of closing your eyes and then having your eyes go in one direction. Because if you don't, like, you know when kids are sleeping and they're fake sleeping and their eyes are just like fluttering? I've definitely gotten in a loop while shooting where my eyes have just been literally fluttering and I'm like, holy shit, I can't even like fake sleep. So I think, what was the other one? Fake what?
Fake drive.
I think I'd rather fake drive, but I have gotten a note where I filmed a driving scene and I think at some point, because you're always usually talking like this, and I was doing that and the director came in and was like, okay, so for this driving scene, let's try not to just kind of move the wheel like this. And I was like, oh shit, you mean acting? You want me to be acting and not swerving this wheel left and right, you know? So I think fake driving, because sometimes you can really get in your head. Or also you can like, it's hard to not smile too when you're kind of trying to wake up. In The Secrets of Dumbledore, there's this scene where we go into Hogsmeade, which is like just this legendary sort of place in the wizarding world. And we walk in from the snow. And so the actors that I was with, we were supposed to be cold. And I remember after we got the note that we were supposed to be cold because it was completely snowy outside, we all became self-conscious about cold acting and acting like we were sleeping. So when I watched that scene back, everybody was definitely just like, like, you know, like we were really kind of overselling it. So I think we had to get the note again to like tone down acting like, you know, we were being cold. But everyone was like, like it was just too much.
I'm definitely keeping that and adding that to another would you rather in the future.
Yeah, definitely. Like acting like you're cold or acting like you're hot is also one of those things that almost like saying your name too many times.
Oh God,
you're like,
I've done that too.
Yeah.
And then the name doesn't feel real anymore.
Yeah, who am I? What am I doing?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Collider Ladies Night. I'm very excited to talk Fantastic Beasts, The Secrets of Dumbledore, and more with Jessica Williams. Hello. Congratulations.
Woo! Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
What is the movie, the performance, the personal experience, you name it, that first made you say, I have to be an actor?
I had this grandma who's no longer with us, who was really into comedy. So when I would I'm from LA, and when I would go over to my grandma's house every weekend, we would watch Saturday Night Live a lot, and she liked Mad TV, and she loved South Park. She liked The Simpsons, The Critic. She loved Conan. Like, she had a really good sense of humor. And I think there are two types of grandmas, right? I think there's like a milk and cookies, I'm gonna knit you a sweater grandma, and then there's the drinking, swearing, I just wanna go to, fucking Reno and play the slot machines kind of grandmas. And mine was the latter. And I think she just had this bodiness about her and she was really strong. And I think I really wanted to emulate that. I remember always thinking she was just really cool. She swore a lot. She had, kind of lived really hard. And she, so much so that she just watched TV all day, especially towards the end of her life, because she wasn't well, even though she had a great sense of humor. And I remember TV and movies were a way for her to escape, and that was a way for she and I to connect. And so to me, television was always a really valid medium. It was always really like a respectable medium because it mattered so much to her. And I had really great parents who also saw it as a valid medium. They were never like, you can't perform, you have to be a doctor, which is totally fine if that's what you want to do. But they were always like, yeah, if you want to be an actor, you can always be an actor. They let me believe that I could do anything. And so I just really wanted to tell really compelling stories about really strong women, and I really wanted to do comedy, and I just really watched a lot of comedy with her.
When it came your way, I'm curious because it seems like at the very start, when you kind of like picture what the dream is, it can be difficult to maybe deviate and reshape that. So when an opportunity like that comes your way, is it a no-brainer? I have to do it. I have to pursue that path. Or is there any little bit of you that has some hesitation because it would kind of steer you away from at least the traditional acting career path?
Absolutely. Yeah. I was really actually intimidated, and I wasn't sure about it, but I knew it was an opportunity I couldn't pass up. I love LA. I'm from there. It's my heart. I'm from this area called the South Bay. And I love my friends there. And I really value my friendships and my family. And I think the hardest part about acting and getting jobs, at least for me, is being away from my friends and family. And I have a really strong foundation there, and that's a huge value of mine. And so I kind of just was really scared because I didn't want to miss out on anything with my friends and family that I had back home. And I had always imagined myself, living by the water. And I guess in New York you do, but it's just a lot different. And I really feel like LA is in my core. And so it was really actually one of the most difficult things I did was pack up and leave for that opportunity. And for a while I was flying back and forth and had to just kind of mourn the loss of, starting a new life and moving. But I knew that it was something that I wasn't going to pass up because, it was just someone decided that they wanted to work with me. And what I love about John, and one of his great qualities that he has, is he was able to see my raw talent. Even when I look at a lot of my earlier stuff on the show, I go, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. I can't believe I was reading like that. A lot of things have changed and developed now that I'm 32 years old. But what I appreciate and love is that he was willing and able to hire someone that was really new and allowed me to learn a lot of lessons on set. And also that was another situation where I was allowed to learn and watch a kind boss that was a really just good and smart boss. And I think, The Daily Show, especially around that time that I was there, had a really firm no asshole policy. And it was really cool to watch someone working at the highest level creating a new show 4 times a week, and still just be a lovely boss. And it made me think that when I'm a boss, I always wanted to be really kind, and he was just a great model for that. And I always wanted to make sure people were taken care of and they feel seen and loved and not disrespected. I think now that I'm 32, I've learned a lot of lessons on every set that I've been on, and I feel really lucky to have experienced the things that I have. I've had good jobs and I've had bad jobs, and I've been successful in some things and I've been fired in others, and every time that's happened, I've learned something.
Just to follow up on something you just said, because I feel like it could be helpful for anybody else out there going through a similar experience to hear what you learned or how you approached it. So you have this great experience on The Daily Show, but with some of those other more difficult experiences where maybe the highest on the food chain was not the leader that individual needed to be, what can you do to either make sure, you're feeling safe and delivering your best work and making the most of the experience, or maybe what can you do to even change that kind of environment?
Absolutely. You know what's crazy about that, because I have had terrible experiences as well as really beautiful ones, is sometimes those terrible experiences can be really confusing because it seems like it's coming from someone who, stands for the right things, like on Instagram, maybe they voted for, they would be someone to vote for, a certain group that you would agree with. They would be someone that seems to stand for diversity and equality. And so sometimes when you have a shitty experience or get fired from something, which has definitely happened to me, it can just be devastating because you just think, you almost expect to get fired from someone that you disagree with. But if you get fired with someone whose ideals oftentimes line up with yours, it's really confusing. I would say, it's going to be disappointing, and it's okay to mourn and grieve certain things. And a lot of times there's a season for everything. And I think it does seem like the end of the world when you suffer what I think that's known as shadow grief, when you lose a job or you didn't get a promotion, or, they cast somebody else or they hire somebody else. You're grieving the idea of a dream, or you're grieving the loss of an opportunity, and that's totally fine. I think it's really important to acknowledge the loss and acknowledge the sadness that comes with that, but also know that it just wasn't for you, and that your life is bigger than this particular moment, even though it seems like it's not. Every time that I've grieved or lost a job, or even a person, somebody's passed or something like that, time happens and time continues. And the worst thing is that you think, like, I remember being fired from a job and being like, just for not being the right fit, just not being a right fit, and just being like, I cannot believe this happened. I'm devastated. My world is over. And it just isn't. And the worst thing is that time continues, but the best thing is also that time continues. And it really is sort of the thing that heals all wounds, because then you get that introspection. But just know that it's not a reflection of who you are as a person, and it doesn't determine your value or your worth. And I'm someone who's very career-driven and goal-oriented, but as I get older, I find that there's wisdom in not allowing your career to define your personality, because you are so much more than, what your job is and your wins and your losses. You are someone who has incredible depth and uniqueness. And when things are the right fit, they're so much better. Like, so much better.
Fantastic Beasts now. Can you walk us through the casting process here a little bit? Because you get that cameo appearance in the second film. So at that point, what were the conversations like? Was it like, hey, we want you to pop in for a brief second, but don't worry, we promise you're going to get a beefier role in the third film?
Yeah, I mean, I'd always known that my character was supposed to be, throughout the rest of the Fantastic Beasts films. And I play this character named Eulalie Hicks. She is a charms professor at Ilvermorny, which is the North American wizarding school. And I knew that in Crimes of Grindelwald, she makes a brief appearance, but then in 3, 4, and 5, she's quite formidable and becomes a huge part of the story. I'm so excited about my character. I think she's really strong and really capable. She's really good at defensive magic, and she has some really cool badass sequences in this movie that I'm so excited for everyone to see. I modeled a lot of her wand work after Serena and Venus Williams. I like that she does this really cool, strong magic. Like, she really means it. Eulalie is really heart-driven, and I think she's really good at seeing at the heart of people. And I think Dumbledore recruits her because he knows that about her. And I think she's somebody you can always depend on to do, what's good and what's right. And I think she really shines in this movie in a really great way. It's always nice to see a witch do really cool shit.
This ladies' night conversation felt like a very therapeutic one.
It
so
did.
Thank you for
I'm
your
happy to
time
hear
and
it.
for sharing these experiences and like little tidbits about your growth. Because I don't know, I feel like it's already having a positive influence on me. So I'm sure a lot of our viewers are going to feel the same way.
I appreciate
Congratulations on
Thank
Fantastic
you.
Beasts, and
Thank you.
hope to have you back on the show sometime soon.
Anytime. Thank you. Mwah.